I guess with this video, I'm hoping to knock out a lot of people's fears as far as investing is concerned. Well, primarily the stock market, but like, if you want to do ETFs, bonds, and stuff, I'll probably talk a little bit about that too. I mean, it's all pretty much related at this point. But, um, one of the top misconceptions that I get is that you need a lot of math in order to really be successful in the stock market. But realistically, that's not true these days. Yeah, if can you count to five? Can you use multiplication sometimes if you want to? Then you have all the math you need. You got middle school math. You can do this shit. I mean, it's cake. But most of the time, if I even use math, I'm using it to figure out how many shares I'm getting out of like X dollar amount. So say I wanted to invest $500 into advanced micro devices, AMD, then I'm going to see how many shares that I'm going to get out of it based on what I'm investing. Sometimes, like analysts, financial advisors, they may potentially like try to figure out what your investment is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years or something like that. They might use math for that, but ultimately, I'm not using too much math. I'm just investing into a company that I believe in. Of course, most of the time you're going to want to do some research that's going to confirm the belief. Like you're going to have your companies that you're aware of. Like for some chicks, it's Sephora. Others, it may be like AMD, Apple, Amazon, stuff like that. The obvious stuff that has a well-known name and successful. Those are great companies to invest well, from my perspective, like you want to. I like to invest into like smart ideas. So if it's a good idea that I feel after doing my research, I'm with it. But at the same time, it's it's formed off of your own opinion. It's it's like don't overthink it. In the moment you overthink it, you're just doing a bit too much. But yeah, as far as the other concern would actually be you need a lot of capital. So people assume you need thousands of dollars to invest into just one stock, but you can invest whatever amount you want. Honestly, I mean, there are plenty of companies that allow you to do fractional sharing, or there are whew, my bad, cheaper stocks, penny stocks too. But you have to look into those things. I mean, you can't just make the assumption like many others are doing, because then you're psyching yourself out just by assuming, oh shoot, this stock is going to be $1,000 from the jump. I need $10,000 to invest into marijuana stocks, which are very, very low at this point and stuff like that. But like, you get what I'm saying? People assume and they haven't even like done the research. They've never even looked into a specific stock, and now you psyched yourself out because somebody else told you this was $1,000, or you saw that Amazon was like, what is it right now? Like over $3,000 at this point. You can't just base your decision off of one stock. Yeah, just because one stock is X amount doesn't mean they're all that same amount. And then at the same time, you have like news events. Yeah, they'll talk about the overall stock market. The Just because the news says the stock market is dropping doesn't mean like every single stock is dropping. Like it, it's stuff like that. I'm just throwing out all the misconceptions and stuff like that that confuse people. But you gotta. This is where you have to do your own research and form your own opinion. But ultimately, it's what I'm trying to say is like as far as my opinion is concerned, the stock market isn't as hard as people make it seem. You're overthinking it because there's risk. and it's riskier as long as you remain blind and in the unknown. So if you lower that risk by doing the research, then you're in a much better position in the long run. So the number one advice, do your research, figure out what company that is, what company you agree with, I should say. The moment that you agree with something, figure out what's reasonable for you for the investment and how long you plan to hold it. Because ultimately, you're going to want to hold it for minimal a year. I mean, that's what I would do anyways. I mean, as far as like taxes and stuff are concerned, I want to plan for the future. I want to plan for retirement. I mean, as far as investing into stocks goes, it's not a get rich quick scheme unless, well, I won't call it a scheme, but yeah, you can't get rich off of stocks unless maybe if you get lucky, you play it smart with your investment as well. Like I said, invest smart, you're gonna make big gains in the long run. But if you're just looking to get rich, you're just putting yourself in a position to psych yourself out. And that's the same with lacking the knowledge. But ultimately, you got to put yourself in that position to win. But how hard is it to get into investing? Personally, just get your phone, download an app these days. I can recommend some apps. Click the link in the description. There's a link to Robinhood and there's a link to Webull. Those are two different brokers that you can run with if you want to. Decide which one you like most. At the same time, if you register either one of them, you can get a free stock after making your first investment. But ultimately, still, you're going to have to do your own research as far as finding the stock that you want. So find the stock that you're interested in, and then just go from there. Create a watch list, figure out what you like, and then just build, and then just leave the thing alone. Plus, with this being a pandemic right now, I mean, I think it's the best time to do your research. Do your research, figure out what it is that you like as far as, well, which companies you like as far as the markets are concerned, and which companies have the best potential for you. Find something you believe in, and more than likely you'll have the best results. Just go do your research. But overall, if you thought this video was pretty helpful, feel free to give this a like, feel free to subscribe, and don't forget to check those links for Robinhood and Webull, and throw a comment if you have any more questions.